hello, delegates, and welcome to a new year in the House. I'm Steve Drangsholt, this year's speaker. I just want to thank all of you for your service to your member associations and to WEF for all the great work we're going to do this year. These monthly videos will be coming out around the first part of the month, and we'll recap some of the work that's been going on at WEF, as well as what's coming up for the next month. So last month, obviously, was WEFTEC in person. Hopefully, most of you were able to make it. It was such a fantastic experience to be back together after 2 years, and so great to see everyone. So thank you all for attending and being there. I want a special thank you to Nikita Lingenfelter, our speaker for the last year. She was such a fantastic leader, and I can only hope to follow in her footsteps. Also, thank you to Donnell Duncan for stepping up as the speaker-elect this year. You'll be seeing him on some of these videos as well and conducting some of the interviews. There were a ton of things that happened at WEFTEC, so just very briefly, there were some report outs from the past year's work groups. Kelsey has shared these via PowerPoint files with all of the delegates, and if you haven't received them, we'll get them to you. Jeff Berlin led a fantastic session on our DE&I toolkit and a wonderful discussion we had about how to improve our member associations through engagement in DE&I. Thank you to Jeff for doing that. And lastly, Fiona with the Silver Ring Group led a session on microaggressions. I think we all learned a lot from that session. So we got up and moved, and appreciate the vulnerability that was shown during that session as well from individuals who are willing to share their own stories. Signups are still ongoing for work groups. So if you haven't signed up for one yet, it's not too late. Please do that. Federal advocacy, water communications, and emerging leader transitions. Alexi and Christiana would be upset with me if I didn't take this opportunity to tell you to sign up for Water Advocates. If you haven't done so, please sign up for the Water Advocates program. Our work groups have been intentionally designed this year to be tied in with a WEF committee and a WEF staff member to give a better landing spot for each of the deliverables they'll be coming up with. Upcoming is WEFTEC Online. WEFTEC Online starts November 16th and runs through the 18th. If you weren't able to attend WEFTEC in person or you're looking for additional content, WEFTEC Online will be a completely separate program from WEFTEC in person. Lastly, there are HOD welcome video that we'll put a link to in the description. If you're new to the House of Delegates, I encourage you to watch this video and learn about how the House works, what the different roles are, and the areas that you can get into. Our work groups kick off as well as our standing committees this month, so make sure you have those invites on the calendar and you're ready to contribute. Our first HOD quarterly meeting will be held on December 8th. Make sure you have that on your calendar as well, and we look forward to seeing you there. This month, we'll be doing an interview with Mandy Sheposh with JCI. She is a new delegate at large and just a fantastic person that I got an opportunity to really get to know as a part of the awards program. So I hope you enjoy the video. Have a great month, and we'll see you soon. This month, we welcome Mandy Sheposh, who is a business development engineer with Johnson Controls and a delegate at large. Mandy, I'm so happy you're here at our interview this month, and so grateful to be able to spotlight you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great, thanks for having me. My name is Mandy Sheposh. I am a civil environmental engineer and mother of two. I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old that are my first and most important job. And as my second job, I am a business development leader for all things wastewater and bioenergy at Johnson Controls. So it's kind of a strange title. It's very awkward for me as an engineer to have moved officially into a business development role. But I support the engineering and really oversee the engineering and project development for renewable energy projects and energy saving projects. So I sit in Chicago. I live in Palos Park, but I sit in the Chicagoland area. And Chicago has a really important and interesting water history. Of course, Bubbly Creek was one of the worst environmental disasters. It wasn't a river on fire, But Chicago, of course, was one of the first places where public health commanded and demanded environmental action and wastewater treatment. So the first major initiative of that is not treatment as we know it, of course. It was the reversal of the Chicago River, which is, I think, what, acknowledged across the board as being one of the biggest civil engineering feats of the 20th century. So yeah, I'm really proud to be a water professional, especially with the background of where I sit and serving at WEF.
That's awesome. Well, Mandy, you and I first met working on the awards committee together, but can you tell me a little bit about how you got involved with WEF and with your member association?
Absolutely. I was very fortunate. I was very fortunate to have come up through central states. Illinois is kind of divided between central states and Illinois WEA. I was very fortunate to come up in central states under the guidance of a couple really influential and wonderful people. Jim Uckel was one of the people that really helped to spur my involvement. He's one of those people that's like, you're new, you're on a committee now, and you're voluntold in a good way. So he got a ton of people, myself included, very heavily involved in central states. And I moved around between operations chair and local arrangements committee. I sit now on the technical committee, reviewing abstracts and setting the technical program for our member association annual conference. But Central States, I'm also lucky, Central States is older than WEF is. So it's kind of a cool history to bring in there. So again, there were other wonderful people that have brought me more involved into WEF. Actually, someone had recommended, I think Jim originally had recommended that I apply for the Outstanding YP Award for Central States, and I got it. I was shocked and very excited about it. And the great people at Central States recommended that I submit also to WEF, and so I'm proud to have my WEF Outstanding YP Award here from many years ago. But that kind of spurred my involvement. I've always been curious about, how do we make things not just end there, but really pull people forward. So, whether an awardee or a committee chair or someone that's rolling off of some other volunteer position, how do you keep that conduit moving forward to keep them more involved in the organization? And I think I have a lot of great people that have helped me move in that direction that have said, hey, what's next for you? What are you going to do next? So out of that, I got involved with the WEF Awards and Recognition Committee. Of course, Steven, that's the one that you and I partnered on. And having 20 days ago rolled off as the past chair there, I was looking for what else I could be doing to stay involved, and that's really where I got interested in the Delegate-at-Large position. Sitting in a non-consulting role at Johnson Controls, we don't have that huge of a water presence. And so it's really incredibly important for me to stay involved with WEF and with other professional organizations to keep my pulse on what's going in the water industry and to stay involved and in front of people representing my company.
Well, Mandy, you were a phenomenal awards chair for all those years, and then right as the pandemic hit, you decided to turn it over to me, and it was a little more
And you're
challenging.
doing fantastic too. Different challenges, right? Many different challenges.
Yes, many. Well, tell us a little bit about what you are hoping to accomplish as a delegate at large and who you're representing.
Absolutely. So I really struggled with, what's the best place to be? And I think the traditional avenues are incredibly important. So our delegates that represent the MAs are important. The delegates that represent consultancies or operations are incredibly important too. I took a little bit different angle in my application, and I'm trying to take a little different angle in my work. So again, representing an industry that also has a focus on municipal solutions that are focused in, of course, in water efficiency, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. I kind of bridge this really strange group, right? Water and wastewater utilities very often operate in a vacuum. We've been doing environmentalism before environmentalism was even before and sustained through when environmentalism has been cool and then out of fashion and then back in. So our industry has really been, some of the biggest stewards of the environment and the biggest stewards, not just with the water environment, but for climate change as well. I've walked into many facilities that have combined heat and power systems that were put in during the gas crisis of the 70s and have stayed operational since. So this whole new focus on decarbonizing, on ESG, environmental, social, and governance goals and objectives is really critical. But my role in particular with a delegate at large or as a delegate at large is to kind of connect industry to what we're doing in water and wastewater, to bring utilities out of the vacuum that we work within and to make them not only speak the language that industries are interested in hearing, but to prime them to be able to drive investment in the utilities. So some of this is kind of pointing toward a P3 arrangement, right? There are great avenues to participate in P3 structures, but I also think that worries people with the thought of privatization. So we're not talking privatization so much as being able to say, hey, you have data centers that are interested in moving into town. You need to be aware of these demands that they'll be interested in. You need to be able to future proof yourself. And then you also need to be able to demonstrate to them that, wastewater effluent, treated effluent can have an incredibly high value as compared to the potable, scarce resources. So helping to create a common dialogue and then to also put the resources out there. So WEF has done a fantastic job, and I've been able to participate in the past with resource documents like the master planning, the energy roadmap for water and wastewater utilities. The tools for the technology are there. Water professionals know what options are there. I think the missing step is linking it to what decarbonization plans and water focused climate change plans other industries are doing and how we loop them all together. So, I've heard the term quite a lot frequently about net water positive. And net water positive, for instance, gives me a lot of pause. That's, an easy term for other industries to throw out there and to use. But when you start pulling back the details of it, we need to be right front and center with a position on it and to be able to ready our utilities to say, hey, this is what it means on a watershed basis. This is what it means for your particular utility. And here's how we bridge those two together. So I'm very excited to be working with others on putting together a workshop proposal for WEFTEC 2022, kind of on like what is ESG and how do we make ourselves speak the same language, prepare ourselves for it. But really, I'm hoping to help identify resources that are available through other professional organizations from other industries that help to fund and to keep moving all of the great work that water industry professionals have been doing for so long.
Well, that's awesome, Mandy. And we are so lucky to have just your unique talents a part of the House of Delegates and can't wait to see what you accomplish over the next 3 years. So thanks for coming and being on the interview this month.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be a part of such a great team. And I feel like the more that I'm around different people, the more I see that there's not just consultants, not just operators. There's a lot of different people that are represented now within the House of Delegates. And it's so fantastic to see just how we can put our talents together and start to push out what we're doing as an industry. So I'm very happy to be in the position I am and to be working with you and everybody else as a delegate.
Well, thank you again and look forward to this year.
Likewise. Thanks, Stephen.